If you are anything like me and regularly keep an eye on award-winning websites, there is a good chance you've come across this one before. Just a couple months ago, we actually covered one of its interactions, this guiding light animation from the same site. But while studying this site deeper, there were quite a few other micro interactions that really stood out to me, and I knew I wanted to come back and explore some of them later. One of those is this really cool hover effect from the services section. As soon as you hover over one of the titles, the layout shifts, the title moves downward, a stack of playful images reveals itself above it, and the most interesting part is these floating tags that fall over the title using a real physics simulation. I found this interaction particularly fascinating because there is actually a lot happening at once, but everything is choreographed in such a clean way that the final result feels very polished and creative. So naturally, I couldn't resist trying to rebuild something like this myself, and just last week, I spent a few hours experimenting with the interaction and eventually put together a very similar hover animation that recreates all of those core behaviors from the inspiration. For the animation itself, I used GSAP to control the text and image transitions and Matter.js to power the physics simulation for the falling tags. In this video, I'll walk you through the entire setup and show you how you can build a similar type of interaction for your own projects. If you find my work helpful, make sure you leave a like on the video and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you'd like to access the source code for this project along with hundreds of other similar micro projects and a brand new website template every month, you can check out the Pro membership via the link in the description. Alright, let's jump into the code. Let's start with the HTML. First, I'll create a section with the class name services. This is going to hold the full layout for all of our service items. Now, rather than building everything at once, I'll first create this structure for just one service item, and then once that's in place, we can duplicate it a couple more times and simply update the content. So inside the services section, I'll add a div with the class name service. This will act as one individual service item. Now inside the service block, I'm going to divide the structure into two main parts. The first one is service name and the second one is service images. Inside service name, I'll add an h1 with a dummy title. This is the large heading that will remain visible in the layout. Then for service images, I'll paste in 3 divs with the class image, and inside each one, I'll place an image. These are the images that will later stack behind the title and animate upward when we hover over the service row. Now, we also need a way to handle the falling tags. So for that, I'll add a data attribute called data tags directly on the main service element. Inside that attribute, I'll store a few tag labels as comma-separated values. Later on in the JavaScript, we'll read those values, split them into an array, and use them dynamically to generate the falling tag elements for each service item. Next, now that we have the full structure ready for one service item, I'll just copy this block and paste it 2 more times and update the content for each one, so the title, the images, and the tags are all different. And that's pretty much all we need for the HTML structure. Now let's move on to the styling. First, I'm importing 2 fonts from Google Fonts. For the large service titles, I'll be using Barlow Condensed, and for the floating tag elements, I'll be using Instrument Serif. Next, I'll reset the default margin and padding on all elements and also set everything to use border box sizing. For the images, I'll set both the width and height to fully fill their containers and then use object fit cover. This makes sure the images always scale nicely and crop proportionally without getting stretched. Now let's style the main services section. I'll set it to relative positioning, make it take up the full width and full viewport height, and then add some internal spacing around the layout. For the background, I'm using a very dark tone, and then for the default text color, I'm using the bright red accent. Then I'll turn this into a flex container, stack everything vertically, and center the content both vertically and horizontally. So right away, this gives us that clean poster-like layout with 3 service titles sitting nicely in the middle of the screen. Next, I'll style each individual service item. This also gets relative positioning, and I'll keep its width based on the content itself. By default, each service row starts in a collapsed state with a smaller height. I will also align the content toward the bottom because later on, when the container expands, we want the title to feel anchored lower in the layout. Then I'll add overflow hidden since the images and tags will animate inside this area and we want everything clipped neatly to the service bounds. I'm also adding wheel change for height since that property will be animated on hover, and then setting the cursor to pointer so the whole row clearly feels interactive. Now for the service title itself, the H1 is positioned relatively, transformed to uppercase and uses the Barlow Condensed font we imported earlier. I am making it very large, very bold and tightening the letter spacing slightly so it feels compact and graphic. the line height is also reduced to keep the text block feeling tight. I'm also giving it the same dark background color as the page and placing it above other elements using a higher Z index. That part is important because during the hover effect, the images sit behind the title and the tags fall across it, so we need the heading to stay visually structured within that composition. Now let's style the service image container. This gets absolute positioning and I will place it toward the top center of the services block. Then I'll use a translate transform to center it horizontally. This container acts as the stage that holds the full image tag. It also gets a fixed width and height along with overflow hidden so the images can move inside this region without spilling out visually. Now inside that, we have each individual image wrapper. These are also absolutely positioned and placed around the center of the image container. By default, I am pushing them downward using a translate transform. That's what gives us the hidden starting state. So later on, when we animate them upward with GSAP, it feels like the cards are rising into view from below. Each image card also gets its own width and height, a slightly rounded corner, and overflow hidden so the image stays clipped cleanly inside the card. Then for the first and second cards, I'm applying a slightly different setup. The first one gets its transform origin from the bottom left and the second one gets it from the bottom right. I'm also rotating them a little in opposite directions and nudging them upward slightly. That small bit of asymmetry makes this tag feel more natural. Instead of three perfectly flat cards sitting on top of each other, it now feels a bit more loose and playful, which matches the overall style of the hover interaction much better. Next, we have the tags container. This is the wrapper that will eventually hold all the falling tags. It sits absolutely on top of the full service area, fills the whole space, and gets a higher stacking level so the tags can appear over the title and images. I'm also turning off pointer events here because these tags are purely visual and we don't want them interfering with the hover behavior. Now for the tag elements themselves, these are positioned absolutely since their placement will be controlled dynamically in JavaScript. They use the instrument serif font, a light text color, a matching light border, and some dark background as the overall layout. Then I'm giving them a fully rounded shape and some internal padding so they feel like little capsule labels. I'm also adding will change for transform and opacity since both of those will be updated continuously during the animation. Then I'll prevent the text from wrapping because each tag should stay on a single line. And finally, I will set the initial opacity to 0 since these tags should appear only after once the hover interaction actually begins. Now at the end, I'm adding a small responsive adjustment for smaller screens. When the layout gets narrower, I reduce the default height for each service row, scale down the heading size, and also shrink the image container and the image cards. I also slightly reduce the offset for the rotated cards so this tag still feels balanced at a smaller size. And finally, I scale down the tag text and its internal padding as well, just so everything stays proportional and readable on mobile. Now that this styling is in place, we can move on to the JavaScript and start writing up the actual interaction. First of all, I'll import GSAP. This is what we'll use to handle the core hover animation for the layout. Then right below that, I'll import Matter.js. This will be responsible for the falling tag simulation. Next, I'll select all of the elements with the class service. This gives us a collection of every service row in the layout. And the reason I'm selecting them all together like this is because each one needs to behave independently. Then from Matter, I'll extract a few utilities that we'll need throughout this setup. So here, I'm pulling out engine, world, bodies, and body. These are the main pieces we'll use to build the physics simulation. The engine is what runs the overall simulation. The world is where all of our physical objects live. Bodies are the actual physical shapes we create. And body gives us a few extra methods for controlling those shapes after they have been created. Next, I'm going to create a small helper function called getTagDimensions. This function takes in a label and its job is to figure out the real rendered width and height of the tag. And this part is actually really important because the tags are going to be simulated as physical bodies. We want the physics shape to match the actual size of the DOM element as closely as possible. Otherwise, the collision would feel off and the visual element wouldn't line up properly with the simulated body. So inside this function, I create a temporary div, then I give it the class tag and set its text content whatever label we pass in. After that, I append it to the document body so the browser can actually render it and calculate its real dimensions. Once it exists in the DOM, I store its width and height using the element's offset values. Then right after measuring it, I remove it from the page. So this element only exists for a moment. We are not creating it to display anything, we are only using it as a measuring tool. And then finally, I return those dimensions so we can reuse them later when we build the physical tag bodies. Next, I'll loop through each service element using for each. This is where each service row starts getting its own self-contained interaction logic. So from this point on, everything inside this loop belongs specifically to one individual service item. Now inside that loop, the first thing I'll do is grab the image elements for the current service. So here, I'm selecting all of the elements with the class image. These are the stacked image cards that will animate upward on hover. Then right below that, I select the H1 inside the same service block. This is the main title that will also animate by changing its color during the hover interaction. Next, I'll read the tag labels from the service elements data tags attribute. Right now, that value is just one long comma separated string, so I'll split it into an array. That gives us a clean list of tag labels for the current service item. Then using that array, I'll map over each label and pass it through the getTagDimensions helper function we created earlier. This gives us another array, but this time, instead of the text labels, we now have the measured width and height for every tag. So at this point, we now know two things for the current service item. We know what the labels are, and we also know how large each one needs to be when we turn it into a physical body. Next, I'll declare a few variables that we'll use throughout the rest of the interaction. First, we have engine, which will eventually store Matter.js engine instance. Then we have tag elements, which will hold the actual DOM elements for the tags. And right below that, we have tag bodies, which will store the corresponding physics bodies for those same tags. So one array is for the visual elements and the other is for the simulated objects that drive their movement. Then I'll create a ref ID which we'll use to store the request animation frame loop. That way, later on, we can stop animation cleanly when the hover ends. After that, I declare tags container, which will hold the wrapper that contains all the generated tag elements. Then we have isHovered, which is just a simple flag to keep track of whether the current service is still being hovered or not. This becomes useful later when we introduce a slight delay before dropping the tags, because we only want to trigger that action if the cursor is still inside the service row. And finally, I'll create tag drop timer. This will store the delayed call we use before the tags appear. That way, if the user hovers out too quickly, we can cancel that delayed action before anything gets created. Now that all of that setup is in place, the next thing we need to do is actually build the function that creates the tags, set up the physics world, and start the simulation. So in the next part, that's exactly what we'll focus on. So here, I'll loop through each tag label using for each. Inside this loop, the first thing I'll do is create a new div with the tag element. I'll give it the class tag, set its text content to the current label, and then append it to the text container we created earlier. So visually, this creates the DOM element that will eventually appear inside the service block. Next, I'll grab the width and height for the current tag. Remember earlier we calculated those values using our helper function. So here, I'm simply retrieving the correct size from the tag sizes array. These dimensions are important because the physics body needs to match the actual tag element as closely as possible. Now, we need to define the starting position for the tag body. For the horizontal position, I'm placing it somewhere within the middle portion of the service container. Instead of always spawning them in the exact same spot, I'm also introducing a bit of randomness here. That way, each tag drops slightly differently, which makes the interaction feel more organic and less mechanical. For the vertical position, I'm placing the tag slightly above the container. This allows it to fall naturally into the layout once the simulation starts. I'm also adding a small vertical offset based on the index that just prevents all of the tags from spawning at the exact same height. Then I'll generate a small random rotation value. This makes sure the tags don't all fall perfectly flat, which again helps the motion feel a little more natural. Next, I'll create the actual physics body using Matter. Here, I'm creating a rectangle with the same width and height as the tag. I'm also applying a chamfer with a radius based on the tag height. This rounds the corners of the physics body so it better matches the capsule shape of the tag element. Then I'll add a few physical properties. A small amount of restitution allows the tags to bounce slightly. Some friction helps them settle naturally once they land. And a low density keeps them light enough so they react nicely when they collide with each other. Once the body is created, I apply the initial rotation we generated earlier. Then I add that body to the physics world. Next, I animate the tag element's opacity using GSAP. This simplifies the tag in as it begins falling. I'm also adding a slight stagger delay based on the index so the tags appear one after another instead of all at once. Finally, I push both the tag element and its physics body into their respective arrays. This lets us keep a cleaner reference between the visual element and the simulated body that controls its movement. Now that all the tags exist in the physics world, we need a way to continuously update their positions on the screen. So next, I'll create an update function. Inside this function, the first thing I do is update the Matter.js engine. This advances the physics simulation forward. Then I loop through each tag element. For every tag, I grab the corresponding physics body and read its current position and rotation. Using those values, I update the tag element's transform so it moves to the same location as the physics body. So essentially, the physics engine is calculating all the movement and we are simply syncing the DOM elements to match those calculations. Once that's done, I call request animation frame again, so this update loop keeps running continuously. And right after defining the function, I trigger the first frame, so the simulation begins right away. Next, I'll create a cleanup function. This function resets everything when the hover interaction ends. First, if the animation frame loop is running, I cancel it. Then if the Matter.js engine exists, I clear it so all the physics bodies are removed. After that, I remove the tags container from the DOM entirely. Finally, I reset all the related variables so the interaction can start fresh the next time user hovers over the service. Now that all the setup is done, we can wire everything up to the hover interaction itself. So I will start by adding a mouse enter event listener to the service element. As soon as the cursor enters the service row, the first thing I do is set isHovered_flag to true. This simply tells the system that the hover state is active. Then I determine the expanded height for the service block. Since the layout behaves slightly different on smaller screens, I am adjusting this value based on the viewport width. Before triggering any animations, I will also stop any existing tweens that might still be running. So here, I'm killing the tweens on the service container, the service images, and the service title. This prevents any overlapping animations if the user quickly moves the cursor in and out. Now we can animate the hover effect itself. First, I animate the service container height. This expands the row vertically and creates space for the images and tags. I am using an elastic easing curve here, so the expansion feels a bit springy and playful. Next, I animate the service title color, shifting it from the red accent color to a lighter tone. This helps visually highlight the active service item. Then I animate the image cards. Remember, earlier in CSS they were positioned slightly below the center, so here I simply animate them upward. I am also staggering them slightly so the cards rise one after another, which adds a nice sense of depth. Finally, I introduce a small delay before creating the tags. Instead of dropping them instantly, I wait a short moment so the layout expansion and image movement can settle first. Then I trigger the create tags function. But before doing that, I also check if the user is still hovering. That way, if the cursor leaves too quickly, the tags won't spawn unnecessarily. Next, I'll add a mouse leave event listener. This handles the reverse animation when the user moves the cursor away. First, I set isHovered_flag back to false. Then I calculate the collapsed height that the service row should return to. If the delayed tag drop hasn't happened yet, I cancel it here. This prevents the tags from spawning after the hover has already ended. Next, just like before, I kill any running tweens on the service container, images, and title. This ensures the exit animation starts cleanly. Now, if the tag elements exist, I fade them out using GSAP. Once that animation finishes, I call the cleanup function to remove the physics simulation and reset everything. If no tags are created yet, I simply run the cleanup right away. Then I restore the title color back to its original red accent. After that, I animate the image cards back downward to their hidden position. And finally, I collapse the service container back to its original height using another elastic easing curve. So this fully resets the layout and prepares the interaction for the next hover. And that's the entire hover interaction. By combining layout animation, staggered image motion, and a small physics simulation, we can create a hover effect that feels much more playful and dynamic. Hope you found this video helpful. See you in the next one.